My guest today is a chiropractor who can heal your body, but definitely touch your heart with her incredible life story.
Hi, I'm Dr. Seema Goel, a Montreal chiropractor, a wife, a mother, a sister, a friend, and now an author of a book called Fleeing the Hijab, A Jewish Woman Escaped from Iran. I believe in living my life freely and living my life fully, so I invite you to do the same.
Dr. Goel, thank you so much for joining us on the couch today.
Thank you for inviting me.
The pleasure is all mine. I'm really thankful that you sent me your book, and you sent it to me a while ago, so I had time to read it. I appreciate that.
Thank you for reading it.
No problem. So, tell me, this is an amazing book about your life and your experience leaving Iran. So, how did you come to write this book? I hear your family really pushed you.
Well, in 2009, I was invited to speak at a fundraising, and there were about 800 ladies in that evening, in that event. And at the end of the event, so many of them came and asked me to please document the story. And years before that, my both sons asked me to write the story. And I thought, fantastic, I'm going to start writing it. Now, English is not my first language. I had no idea what it takes to write a book. So I Googled it, and I found out that to write a book, you need 75,000 words. And I thought if I write 5,000 words every week, by 15 weeks it would be done. Let's give us some leeway. 6 months it will be done. 6 months later, it will be on all major bookstores in the world. Well, I had a big awakening. It took much longer than 6 months. It took 5 years to really write the story and to document it. And the reason I wrote it is because so many times we feel victim in our lives, and so many times we say, because of what happened to me, I cannot achieve my goals, and because of what happened to me, I am who I am. And I wanted to share my story, to maybe inspire others to take charge of their lives. And I found it, when I finished writing this book, it was weight lifted off of my shoulder. And it was a cathartic experience. And it was liberating as well. And as well, we talked about it off air, it was a forgiving that to myself for what I've been through, and those people who were in my lives politically as well. Because when you forgive, you set yourself free.
Right. And you wanted to leave a legacy behind.
Yes, for my boys, because many people I was speaking at the convention in Montreal, and one of the questions the high school student asked me, so tell me, why did you cross the desert? Other than freedom, other than the longing for freedom, people don't realize that not having the freedom aspect, it touches on every aspect of our lives. Like if I would sit like the way I'm sitting here without my hair covered in Iran, that would be a crime. Not being able to go to school, not being able to read the books I wanted to read, not being able to listen to the music I wanted to listen to, not being able to hike the mountains I wanted to go to hike. And the fact that at 13, and all of these problems started when I was in 1978, when I was 13 years old. They were burning Baha'is' houses in Iran, in Shiraz, where I come from. And I was traumatized over this, that if nobody was defending them and nobody was condoning what was happening. And my best friend was a Baha'i, and I had another best friend who was Muslim, and I was going to private school, non-denominational for all the religions. And my best Muslim friend was bullying the Baha'i friend and telling her they should have burned your house too.
Oh, wow.
And I was traumatized over that. And I asked her, what is the
And
name
you're so
of
young.
your, at 13.
Mhm.
And this event was going on this setting on fire was going on for a while. And I researched the name of the prophet, which is Muhammad, and in the dictionary, and I found out Muhammad means peace and tolerance. So I told this bully, what is the name of your prophet means? And she didn't know. She went
Okay.
to the principal, and I got suspended from school for 3 days for defending a friend.
Oh,
And
no.
that was the catalyst that 4 years later led me to the desert, because there was
Mhm.
no,
For freedom.
Yeah.
And justice.
yes,
Mhm.
justice, freedom, and to be able to make my own choices. It's not as if I wanted to, the choices that we take for granted here. Our
Right.
teenagers think that the world is coming to an end if they cannot purchase the latest designer outfit. But the fact that they have everything, they can read the books they can listen to the music they
Right.
want to, they can hike with their friends, they can go out, they can wear the clothes they can wear. Nobody tells them they
Right.
have to cover themselves from head to toe. That is that is a freedom that we have, that we take it for granted.
Right.
And it's like somebody who's never been hungry. If you've never been hungry, you don't know what it means to be hungry. But if somebody writes a story to show you what it means to be hungry, and you can relate to that, then you can be grateful
Right.
for the food that's on the table,
Yeah.
no matter what it is.
And you do such an amazing job describing emotions in this book, I find. It's very detailed and it's beautifully painted.
Thank you.
And when, as a reader, you can really put yourself in the person's shoes and have a good understanding of that emotional moment.
Thank you.
You know? And one of the things that I loved in the book, and that gives us an idea of the kind of woman that you are, even as a child, is actually the description of your mother. And I
Yes.
find that you had strong women around you who wanted you to be independent and smart and able.
My mother was my hero. And wherever I am in my life is because of her strength. She's the one who told me, get out of this country, because it's not going to, you won't, either way I was going to die, because the life that I was living there, that was no life, it was slowly dying. And she said, if you have nothing to live for, you have nothing to die for. If you have nothing to die for, you have nothing to live for. So get out. And we knew there was danger. But at least, even if I died, it would have been died trying,
Right.
which would be better than sitting and waiting and not having the life that I wanted. And it wasn't a straight line. It means so many people tell me, okay, so how did you get out? How long it took you to come to Canada? I didn't get into airplane to come to Canada. And I had to get out with the smugglers, and they promised a few minutes of walking. It ended up being hours, and the terrible things that happened during that desert crossing is all detailed in my book. But the fact is, that night, when I was crossing the desert, angels come along in so many different ways, as well as evils, that are, it made my faith stronger, that, you know what, there is a bigger picture,
Purpose.
there is a bigger purpose, there is someone that's watching you. Just keep on trying.
Right.
And that's my message for those. I mean, being a human, we all face our challenges, and
Right.
we all have lessons to learn. But no matter where you are, there is always hope, and you can become your better version of yourself.
Right.
Just don't give up.
Right. And sometimes you become a better version of yourself once you overcome some obstacles. And that's, you were saying off air that it's part of the strength that people have, not just women.
Yeah,
It's
we
just
all have.
overcoming these obstacles and being courageous is definitely something that
Yes.
You know, you don't want to be a victim of your past, but
No.
you want to use your past to build
As
on
a
strength.
springboard to
Exactly.
get on. And that way you'll build, because you where you were, you can have more compassion
Right.
for
For others.
others, and also saying, okay, I got as low as I can, it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's my turn to learn the lesson, to own my own power, and to move forward,
Right.
and to be a role model for those who can't. So when I came to Canada, when I was in Iran, I couldn't continue my school because my best friend got arrested.
Okay.
And my mother's colleague came to our house and she said, you're on the list as well, and they're coming for you. So I had to leave my home.
Mhm.
And for about 1 year, I was homeless. I was going from city to city, home to home in Iran. And at the end, I ran out of places to live, and I had to come back home. And I was staying at home for 6 months, not leaving the house, not leaving my room,
Right.
because of the dangers that was around me.
Mhm.
And I couldn't go to school. So my dream was to one day be able to go to school and study in the field that I could, that it was meaningful to me, and to share my story, eventually document my story.
Right.
And it came earlier than I thought, because I thought I'll write about it in my retirement.
Oh, really?
Yes. And when I met my husband, I told him that I have this wish, and he says, "Yeah, we're going to write it when we retire." Well, it came a few years, a couple of decades earlier, but I'm happy I shared it. Those who have read it, everyone that reads it takes different.
Right.
Means different to them. Some people told me that they didn't know Iran was so beautiful.
Okay.
And I was in Rome with my husband a few years ago, and we went to see Colosseum. But as beautiful as Colosseum is, the beautiful architecture that we have in Iran, the buildings, and the poetry, and the gardens, and the flowers, and the people. I wanted to separate Iranians from the Iranian politics. That was
Okay.
another goal of mine in the
Right.
book.
And I saw that you do a lot of quoting in there of poetries
Yes.
and sayings, and they're beautiful.
Iran is a rich culture. Iran has a rich culture, and it's a magnificent country. And I love Iranians.
Right. And the book, in any ways, wasn't about politics. It was
No.
about your experience, and there are really strong theme in there about family and courage and perseverance and overcoming obstacles and fears and forgiveness. I mean, I was mentioning that to you off the air. One of the things for me, based on my experience, that I connected with was that theme in the book, forgiveness.
Yeah, that was the twist in the book. And for me, the last chapter was the hardest chapter to write. And
It's emotional. It's
very,
an
very
emotional.
emotional, but it was a gift. And when we talk about forgiveness, many people believe, and I used to believe that too, yes, I forgive this and I forgive that, I forgive him or her, but it's really not about forgiving others, because who am I to forgive them? It's about forgiving ourselves for the experience we've been through. And that's when we lift off the weight and we let our true essence to shine.
Right. Beautiful. Well, I definitely recommend the book.
Thank
and
you.
I do have a question in terms of writing the book, because you were saying at first you thought it would be 6 months. It
Yes.
ended up being 5 years. What advice do you have in terms of writing a book and the roadblocks that maybe you've encountered?
Oh, I've had many roadblocks. But number one, if you have a story, just write it. This book has been rewritten at least 10 to 15 times.
Oh, wow.
And at the end, it wasn't 75,000 words, it was 225,000 words, and we cut 50,000 out of it.
Oh, wow.
So that's number one. The dilemma for the new authors is that if you're not a famous author, no publishers want to deal with you.
Right.
You need an agent. If you're not a famous author, the agents don't want to deal with you because they're not going to make that
Okay.
much money with you. So I went and I had a smaller publishing company
Okay.
at the beginning. But I had a radio interview with New York at the beginning of January, and I called my publisher, and they told me that they're going to, didn't you get our email? What email? We're closing down
Oh no.
to redistribute their debts.
Okay.
And they didn't give me my royalties. So,
What
but
a
you know
roadblock.
what? It's all good. I needed,
part
it
of the
was a
journey.
message that I needed to share, and I know this message would touch the heart of those who read it.
Right.
And I now self-publish. So self-publishing has its pros and cons, but a lot of authors self-publish now, and hopefully a big publishing company will pick it up. But if you do have a story, just
Share
get
it.
writing. Get to computer, start documenting, start writing, and don't give up. And it's normal. There are times that you don't want to write anymore.
Right.
It's part of the journey. Don't label it. It is what it is. Share your story and inspire others. And another reason that I wrote the book, I love reading. In Iran, I couldn't read the books I wanted, but I read anyway. So this was my humble gift back to the literary circle to share my story. And I'm really happy for
that you did. Well, I'm
writing
happy
it.
you did it as well. Fleeing the Hijab is a great book, and it's not about politics. I feel like it's really about the heart and about what makes us human and overcoming obstacles and being courageous. And I thought it was very inspirational, especially for women. You know, women have around the world still have many obstacles to deal with.
Yes.
And I think this book is great for any woman to read. So
Thank
thank
you.
you so much for writing it.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you to
I
your voice
may
for encouraging
add-
you.
Thank you. And I may add, it's not just for more mature women, it's for anybody above grade 6 or 7, because I've had teenagers who read the book and their life, the way they look at life is
Right.
different. And they said,
I
oh
can
my
see that.
God, if
Yeah.
you've done whatever you did, and considering your limitation, then I
Right.
can do more. And I feel that we need to embrace that, and we need to put that seed in our teenagers
Right.
or in our adolescent, so they can appreciate the great life they have. And whatever is lacking, we have the opportunities in this country to achieve. There is nobody putting locks on your feet
Right.
and covering you up. You can achieve all your dreams, regardless of what it is. All
Well
the
said.
loving dreams come true. That's what I say.
Well said, yes. And then to go from being a chiropractor to an author and sharing this beautiful story about, you know, fleeing from Iran, it's just so beautiful. And so thank you for sharing it. Thank you for coming on the couch
Thank
today.
you. Thank you. I am honored. Thank you for sharing my story
My
as well.
pleasure. And thank you to you guys for joining us on another episode of Couch Talk. And of course, make sure you watch the next one. Bye.
See ya.